For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Hope you had a great Valentine's Day. And you can probably hear it in my voice that I'm grinning like an idiot. And I'll tell you why. Because I think Valentine's Day it's very funny. And I don't believe that I have any sort of a different opinion than the anti-Valentine's Day people have. Now, don't get me wrong. Am I a bitter single? No. But I'll tell you my thoughts about Valentine's Day in just a second. But we've got 30 minutes of discussion and rants and debate and fun topics to go over today. Here's what's coming your way. What happens when you are out somewhere and you run into someone that you are not expecting? And we're not talking that you see them from a distance and you have some time to prepare. I'm talking about, boom, right there, no time to think. Oh, hey, Jeremy, how's it going? What do you do? Now, you don't necessarily have any bad things to say about this person. You're just not expecting it. So think of it in terms of, maybe your best friend just ended a relationship and then, boom, there's the ex. Or, you just worked with somebody and they were fired and it's kind of awkward and then, boom, there they are. I'm going to explain my story coming up in just a little bit, and I want to know if you would react the same way. Now, we also hear that dogs are the ultimate loyal friend. They're loyal until the end. Well, are pets that way with each other? You know that if you're feeling sick or if you're in danger or if you're safety is compromised, a lot of times the dog will step up. And you've probably seen videos where, the dog will attack somebody or defend if a wild bear strikes or something. Well, I have a story about how my dogs are loyal to their other furry friends. Now, it certainly made for a messy time in my house, but it really made me realize the bond and relationships that dogs are capable of having, not only with humans, but with also other animals. So that's a touching story coming up in a little bit as well. Now, I don't want you to lose sleep over that story. That's a horrible segue for the next setup that I'm about to do. But sleeping with your phone. All right. Maybe I actually want you to tell me, what percentage of cell phone users do you think sleep with their phone right beside them? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Now, I don't mean in the way that they have it right beside them and you're checking it in the middle of the night and you're texting and you're scrolling on social media. I just mean physically it's beside you. The excuse that many people say is that, well, it's my alarm clock. All right, great. But it's still beside you. So send me an email. Tell me what percentage of people do you think sleep with their cell phone beside them? live@jbonair.com. Well, I happen to wake up in the middle of the night and see a product on TV that will actually help you bring your phone closer to you. And I thought, that is just sad. So I'm going to share that story in just a little bit. Now, let's get on to my thoughts about Valentine's Day for a second here, because, or we're not going to do a break yet. All right. So Valentine's Day, if you're tuning in on a Friday when this podcast is released, Valentine's Day was yesterday. And there's a couple things that come to mind. One, countless numbers of people are going to be showing pictures of the gifts they got on Valentine's Day. Whoop-de-frickin-do. And what I say is, I'm glad that you're so happy and you're posting the pictures of the gifts he felt obligated to give you. It's true. I don't mean to piss on your relationship, But I went to the store on Valentine's Day, actually to get dog food. I wasn't getting anything Valentine's Day related. And the number of people, and when I say people, I mean guys, and I'm not being sexist, that just was the random sampling of people that were standing at the counter holding their flowers that they were buying. And it was hard to gauge if this was a last-minute buy, because it's flowers, so it's something that you sort of want to get as close to the occasion as possible, right? And so I'm assuming these people were stopping in at the store after work to then go home and have Valentine's Day. So to me, like, yes, I mean, I'll get flowers randomly on a Tuesday morning just because, or I'll get them on a Sunday morning just because. That is way more special, in my opinion, but most people will agree with me. That is more special than, oh, hey, because it's Valentine's Day, I have to get you flowers. Or just no different than we hear about the commercialization of Mother's Day and Christmas, right? I'm getting you a Mother's Day card because it's expected of me. Does it make you feel special to know that I bought you a card because everybody else is doing it and there's a day on the calendar telling me to do so, right? Same thing with Valentine's Day. Undoubtedly, you got flowers because that was the right thing to do and it was just expected and it's Valentine's Day and it's romantic. Okay. Well, in our household, we just do stuff with each other on a regular basis, like, anyway, right? So it's not that... And in all honesty, yeah, Valentine's Day really wasn't anything out of the ordinary because it is just another day. It really is just a day on the calendar. So... in our situation, it goes back to that Tuesday morning thing. Maybe have a bath together Tuesday morning, or, just something that it's not dictated by the calendar. And so that's just how I feel about it. Now, again, then there's the whole habit or the whole process of taking those pictures and boasting that, oh, I love you so much. Oh, he's such a sweetie. He gave me this, and oh, I did this, and I feel so great, and blah, blah, blah. And again, I think that you also do that in a way to sort of brag, which is sort of the point of social media for the most part. And, at that point, I kind of look at that and go, a dime a dozen, sweetie. So he was stupid enough to spend $50 on flowers when tomorrow, the 15th, you can get that dozen roses for $5 at Walmart the next day. And believe it or not, we actually did test this. We actually did check this out on the 15th of February. You can get, I think we got 4 dozen roses for $20 the day after Valentine's Day. Because, I wrote the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate. So we actually did look at that. And there's a section in the book about cheap Valentine's Day. So you know what? People were mocking me when I did a newspaper column about it, and somebody, oh yeah, that's exactly what a person wants, is a cheap Valentine. Oh yeah, way to use coupons, that's romantic on Valentine's Day. Hey, you know what? I'm going to be happy if my partner went and said, you know what, I'm going to wait until tomorrow, and I'm going to get you 4 times as many flowers for the same price. I'm going to look at that and go, you know what? He was smart and he was creative, and so good on you. And you're going to get laid, basically. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I'd love to know your thoughts about Valentine's Day. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, talking about the awkwardness of running into someone when you least expect it, next on The Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble again. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. You've heard the saying, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And often that means something bad happened to you, right? It could have been maybe like an accident, an injury, or something. Well, we all have those people that we don't want to run into on the streets, right? This could be, maybe it's like your best friend's ex, or it's maybe somebody who's, you burned the bridge with them and they're no longer around, and it's just awkward because you were sort of an ass to them, and now here they are, or vice versa, the other way around. Maybe they were a total jerk to you, and now you've come across their path. Well, this happened to me not too long ago. I was at an event, and it was a Chamber of Commerce luncheon. It wasn't anybody from my company, but it was a company with whom I do business, and they had a couple extra seats at their table. I guess some people couldn't go, and so I was asked if I wanted to go, and I was like, well, it's a free lunch, so hell yeah. And I don't really know these. I know some of their names, but I don't really actually know them. Like, I couldn't tell you what their last name is. I couldn't tell you, even some of them, what they do at that company. So I almost know next to nothing about them, aside from, you're David. All right, yeah, okay, now I can match I've heard your name, and that's the extent of it. But there's one person at the company that I sort of worked side by side with when I had to do, we had a partnership with our companies, and so I worked with him on a regular basis. Well, he was fired several months ago. And I guess, now again, I'm not in their workplace, so I don't know exactly the politics or the drama that happened. I just know that I was told that he's no longer there. So fast forward now, we're at this luncheon, and there's a table of, I think it was like 10 of us, and all of them are coworkers, and I'm sort of the outcast, but I'm representing, their company as well. After the workshop, or after the luncheon, everybody's kind of mingling now with business people at other tables and, networking and saying hi. And I had excused myself to go to the washroom. So I had to leave the big ballroom that it was in. And I went to go to the washroom, which was outside sort of in the lobby area. And as I come out of the washroom, I heard my name called. And then I kind of looked around. I didn't see. And then I thought I heard my name again. Now, I was there, like I said, with these people, and we had carpooled, because parking was just ridiculous. And so I thought it was the people that I was there with that were calling me like, hey, we're out of the ballroom now, we're just waiting for you out here. Turns out it's the guy that got fired. Okay, so he's like, oh, hey Jeremy, how's it going? Nice to see you. And I was like, oh, good, how are you? He's like, good. He's like, oh, are you going to the workshop after? Well, after the luncheon, the keynote speaker was hosting a workshop on podcasting. And so I guess he thought that I was there for the podcasting conference. And I was ready to go and say, yeah, I've been in broadcasting for 13 years. So, what's good, bitch, kind of a thing. Like, I was sort of insulted in the moment, because it's like, why would I need a podcasting workshop? I've been doing radio for how long? And podcasting is just, as I'm going to say it, with no disrespect, is just a lower form of radio. But hey, I've done it for 3 years, so what does that make me, right? Anyway, so I'm standing there talking with him, and he asks me if I'm there by myself, and I said, no, I'm with a group. Oh, with other broadcasters. And then I was just like, I didn't want to say, oh, hey, by the way, I'm with people that, you used to work with, and I think I actually am in your seat that you would have been sitting in for this lunch. And so I just said, oh, no, I'm with some people from, da-da-da-da-da. I said the company name. And then quickly I was like, so how have you been? It's nice to see you. I panicked. See, and the reason why is because, at least if you see somebody walking towards you or you see them from a distance, you kind of have a chance to prepare yourself. Like, okay, yeah, we're going to cross, but what do I say to him? Oh, okay, there she is. What do I do? But this is somebody who you just hear your name and you're like, boom, in the moment, there they are. You're on the spot. You've got to talk to them. Now, I didn't have a bad relationship with him at all, right? Like, I have nothing against him. Like I said, I don't, it's whatever. Whatever the politics are that they had with each other, that's fine. Probably a good thing that he didn't cross any of their paths, but maybe he did. I don't know. And so in that moment, I said, no, I'm here with the group from, your ex-company, basically. And I said, how are you? And he said, good. Well, you know what? I should get into the podcasting workshop. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I got to go. And I beelined it back into the bathroom. I had nowhere to go. I was just like, oh my God, that's the quickest, easiest excuse you can give, right? Oh, well, I got to go take a piss again. Like, I had just come out of there like a minute and a half, 2 minutes earlier. And I panicked. I didn't know how to do it. Like, what would you do in this case? So again, giving you all of the facts. I have nothing against him. He was sort of annoying to work with. Just, I understand why he was fired. Let's just say, but not a bad guy. I don't know that anybody said anything bad about him personally. He wasn't mean, rude. He was just terrible to work with in terms of leading a team. And so, yeah, I've got nothing against him. But it's just awkward when I'm there with his former colleagues and potentially, I guess, having a ticket that he would most likely have used, when he was employed there. So what would you do? Like, this isn't one of those, like, I could be like, la-di-da, ha-ha-ha-ha, I'm at the luncheon and you're just going to a free workshop. Because, again, he wasn't a dick to me. I've got nothing bad to say about him. I have no history. But, yeah, it was just very awkward. What would you do? Would you stand there and talk? Would you then try to find the people you're there with and call them over and be like, hey, look, it's Jimmy, your former coworker. That's not his name, by the way. I'm just making that up. But what would you do? Send me an email. I want to hear your story on this one. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. It's just one of those awkward encounters. How would you handle it? I know, in hindsight, that I handled it incorrectly. Now, this is the thing, is that as I went into the bathroom again, now I've got this dilemma of, how long do I stay in here? Because if all of a sudden I emerge and he's still standing there, now what do I do? Do I come out and walk towards him again and start talking? Do I, walk past him and make eye contact and kind of give a nod going, yeah, see ya? Like, what do you do if you have that second pass by? See, these are all things that make you go, this almost is like a Seinfeld conversation, don't you think? Like, how do I deal with this? What do I do? What do I say in the moment? It was awkward. And I was actually, I guess the term is, I was shook. I was shook for the rest of the afternoon. Like, it was just very, very awkward to me. Oh, that's right. And making this even weirder, just when I thought the story was done, there's more. So it was a Friday afternoon. I don't usually work on Fridays, which is why I was able to go to this luncheon. I know that we upload this podcast on a Friday, but sometimes I don't necessarily work on Fridays, especially when we have, award show season or whatever's going on. Nevertheless, so I'm going about my business in the evening now. It's Friday evening. And I'm not big on my cell phone at evenings and weekends, right? Like, I'm not a very social person when it comes to things like that. If I'm going to hang out with family, I'm not broadcasting it. I'm there with the family, and that's that. Well, I was visiting a relative in the hospital Friday evening, and on the way home, so we're talking now about 9:30 in the evening, I get a text from Mr. Podcast Wannabe saying, "Oh, it was nice to see you. Was the lunch informative?" and blah blah blah. And I was like, again, we have each other's phone numbers. Obviously, it's not like he just looked me up and got my cell phone number from somebody. We had texted, once in a blue moon previously, but he still has my number, and that's fine. But it was just awkward because it's like, oh, it was great seeing you. And then I'm like, was this a date? This is like one of those things where you get dropped off at home, and then like an hour later you get the text of like, oh, it was great to meet you. Oh, it was nice seeing you. Oh, I had a great time tonight. Anyway, nice guy. I'm not making fun of him, but I'm just saying it was a very weird circumstance to be in. So again, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. I'm sorry, I was about to say top of the charts because I almost busted myself, everybody. We are taping our top 40 syndicated radio show right after this podcast today, which is, I'm already in that mode. I'm already in that vein of, okay, it's time to host a radio show. This is The Scribble. It's a podcast, and thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Often on these segments, when I kind of just go on a rant, I have something, like a sarcastic story or something funny or awkward, or, I don't really ever talk politics because I'm Canadian and I could give two shits about what's happening in the United States unless it affects me directly, though I do live in the United States from time to time. Anyway, this is not a story about politics, and it's not a story about celebrity drama. I think you're going to find this to be a heartwarming story. You don't need me to tell you that dogs are loyal until the end. You don't need me to tell you. Everybody knows that. If you've ever had a dog, or if you have seen somebody who has a dog, you know they're protective, you know they're cuddly, you know that they're right up against you side by side. Unless you're one of those dick dog owners that just leaves the dog outside all the time. Like, why have a dog then at that point? Anyway, that's not the point of the story. I have an 11-year-old golden retriever. You've heard about him here on the show. His name is Ernie. He's a golden retriever. So he just turned 11, and I also have a rabbit of the same age. I've got 2 dogs and 2 rabbits. Ernie came to the house in March of that year, and then the rabbit came about a month later. Now, at the time, I had 2 other rabbits. So in total, I'll do this quick math for you. I had 3 rabbits and 1 dog. 2 of those rabbits have since died of old age. They were, I think, 8 and 10 years old. And now there's this 1 rabbit left, and then I got a new one a couple of years ago. But anyway, so this one is 11 years old, and the dog is 11 years old as well. The rabbit is, he's still alive, and he doesn't seem to be sick or ill. He is still jumping around. He's still looking for food. He's still laying on the carpet with the dogs. Like, he's still carrying on, but he's losing his fur. His fur is falling out on his back. He's a white and black rabbit, and he's got kind of like a black strip of fur along his back. So that has been happening for a while, and, you know, it maybe is, you know, kind of a sign of the end coming. But like I said, he's got no other indications that he's not doing well. So one day, he was kind of just acting a little bit differently. He, you know, if you have pets and you know their patterns and how they act and how they do things, so the rabbit was just being a little off one day. He just wasn't quite the same. And he was laying in his cage, sort of on his side in the corner, and again, I don't think I've really ever seen him do that in recent time. So initially I thought, oh crap, he's dead, or there's something terribly wrong. And so, believe it or not, the dogs actually came and alerted me. Now, my dogs have what I call sympathy pukes. So if one of them is feeling a little bit sick or whatever and throws up, the other one does it almost like a minute later. Okay, that's just how they are. I don't know. They're like brothers. And so they're like one dog, one mind. And so the dogs were very upset by this because, like I said, they came and got me. They came and grabbed my attention, or, you know, were like, hey, come on, you know, hey, lassie. And so they basically, you know, called me into the living room where the rabbit was in the cage. And so eventually, like, he did kind of get up. Like, I believe he was just sleeping, and for some reason, maybe he was just sleeping on his side. Whatever, okay. And for the rest of the day, the dogs were what I call shook. Dogs were just kind of messed up. They just were not in the right headspace. They were very, almost traumatized. I'll use the word traumatized by this. So to distract them, I thought, okay, you know what? I've got a cupboard or a closet full of like dog toys and treats and things like that, just in the odd chance that I, you know, for a moment like this, right? And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to distract them with a kind of like a big bone that's got like meat inside it, and, you know, that'll be great. So one dog takes it, he runs off, and he's like hiding with it and chewing it under the table. And the golden retriever, who's again loyal to the end, and is usually the first person waiting at the door for a treat when it's time for, you know, when it's treat time, or when it's new toy time or gifts or whatever. He's usually he's pushing his way through to the front of the pack, and he's right there to get the treat. He did not even want this juicy, meaty bone that I was giving them. Sure, he sort of came and took it because that's what was expected, because I was calling him, and he did come to me as I was calling him. But he left that room and went right back to the cage and was just kind of sitting there and watching the rabbit. And you know, when it comes to a dog or an animal in general, a dog and food, you know, sometimes you can even lose a hand, they're so excited, right? If you're holding out a treat or whatever, and then they jump and they want to take that from you. This is a dog. I've never seen him refuse a treat before. Now, I've seen him refuse, like, maybe a piece of food or something that he doesn't like or that he doesn't want. Even then, he'll still take it. He's not a big fan of romaine lettuce, but he'll still take it from you because you're giving him something, but then he'll just drop it on the floor. This was the same sort of a thing, but I know that he loves these bones because he's had them before. So he's that loyal to his friend, to his rabbit friend, that he did not even want this bone, that he would normally... And my dogs have actually got into a fight where there has been, blood. They've actually fought over a treat before or a toy. It maybe just got a little bit out of hand, and then there was bloodshed, basically. And so when he's that intense when it comes to a milk, not a milk bone, sorry, a bone, a big, juicy, meaty bone, and he's sitting there by the rabbit cage, worried about his friend, I just thought that is a true sign of how dogs are loyal until the end. Now, I can tell you there is a happy point to this story, is that the rabbit is still alive and he has not had, I call it an incident, he has not had an incident like this since. So perhaps he was just tired or whatever. And he has been fine since. But this is an indication that, the dog has known this rabbit for almost as long as he's been alive. Both of them have been alive, 11 years. And he forwent his, this big bone that he would have been chewing on for hours. He went and wanted to see his rabbit friend. So, I don't know. If you've got an interesting pet story like that, I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I wrote a book called Put Down Your Damn Phone already, right? It's been out for a few years. We've talked about it here on the show, and anybody who knows me or is familiar with what I do knows that I am my phone is the last thing that I'm reaching for. In a moment, people are quick to run and grab their camera and snap pictures of something that's happening, right? You've seen how many confrontations on YouTube or whatever, just because people are waiting for the crap to go down and then they want to be capturing the moment. And so for me, it's weird because I'm an entertainment reporter and I do broadcast, journalists and journalism and things like that. And again, I just don't think to reach for my phone. I'm more interested in getting the story. I'll start asking questions and doing things like that. But the reason why I'm telling the story was that the other night, it was over the weekend, I had woken up in the middle of the night, and I do sleep with my television on, even though they tell you, you shouldn't have glowing objects or anything around you when you're trying to sleep, but I do. I need the sound, I need the noise to help me fall asleep. And there was an infomercial for this product that was basically something that holds your phone, and they showed it in use in a bunch of different scenarios, sitting at your desk, also in your car, and then they had it right by the bed. And so I was kind of like, ugh. Because, everybody, when you get to work, drops their cell phone right on their desk in front of them, so you can see at all times whenever it lights up or it, gives a new notification. And I'm one of those people who I do not have my phone with me in my bed. My bedroom is upstairs in my house. There's no electronic devices, meaning something that, is getting a signal, something that would be disruptive. Yes, a television, sure, but there's no phones, there's no intrusion from the outside world, there's no way to reach me when I'm there. And that's just how I like to keep it, and I do sleep really well at night. But this device, they have it, I guess, like attached. I don't know if it was a nightstand table or just something, and this thing that holds your phone, and it was literally like inches from your pillow. Like, it was basically like right beside. Now, I understand that, yes, people use their phone as an alarm clock. I've seen that, I've heard that. But again, you can sort of prop it up across the room, right? Like, you don't need to have it right beside you. And again, I'm one of those people who I don't believe that I need to wake up at 3 in the morning and see what I'm missing on social media, because I'm hoping that most people where I live in North America are asleep at that point. Maybe I've got some, quote-unquote friends from around the globe, but we're not that great of friends that I'm going to be waking up and seeing what you're doing in the middle of the night. Now, don't get me wrong, I was one of those people that used to have a laptop beside my bed when I was living with my parents. I had a laptop right beside me on a little table, and I also was one of those people who did a karate chop on my pillow and made a little crevice for my phone. I did that when I was in my early 20s because I did feel like I needed to be reachable. But now, fast forward, 10, 15 years later, whatever it is, I honestly just don't think that people care what I'm doing every second of the day. And I'll be quite honest, I don't care what you're doing every second of the day. Even if you are my best friend or my brother or whoever, I don't care what you're doing. You can tell me if you want me to know. Send me a text. Or give me a call. That's the way to do it. Anyway, so this device, the purpose of this conversation or this discussion is that the device is basically making it convenient for you to have your phone even closer to you when you're in bed. I don't know. I don't get that. And I have no problem. Again, if you want to have it on, what is the setting where it's not receiving a signal? Airplane mode, or do not disturb, or whatever, depending on your phone. That's fine. But I don't know. I just don't want to get into that habit of it. And I think I told this story on the show about a kid, a 10-year-old kid getting a cell phone for Christmas, and literally within days, is navigating it with one hand, scrolling, typing with one thumb while eating, was sitting at a plate of food and eating at the, I just thought that's too early to have that addiction. And so this device that basically you can just roll over and look and read your phone right away. I don't know. Again, don't get me wrong, I have 2 cell phones. They're right in front of me right now, but I'm working and they're sitting at my desk. And but I'm not sitting there checking did somebody like my photo on Instagram? Oh, did somebody reply to my tweet? I could give 2 shits about that stuff, honestly. And that's the hard thing to say, because now it almost, that's not telling people to follow you then. That's basically saying, I don't care if you follow me or not. In all honesty, I am on social media because that's expected with my job. Really, that's truly the only reason. There have been times, now I'm going to go into a social media rant here. There are times where there's been a family function or family event, and my mom will call me, or I'll see my parents and they'll be like, oh, are you going to so-and-so's birthday? Oh, are you going to so-and-so? I'm like, I don't even know about it. Oh, well, it was on Facebook. I'm like, well, you know what? That is probably the most impersonal way you can invite me to something. Reach out to me, call me directly, text me, whatever it is. But I want a direct contact with you. I don't want just this to be a mass message or a mass invite, an event posted online that, oh, okay, I'm invited to it online. Yeah, no, you can reach out to me. But maybe I'm just a dick that way. Send me your thoughts. Send an email live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
We are 2 minutes overtime. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more